Hello there, and welcome back to the People's Republic of Rome. When we last left off, before I was so rudely interrupted by the powers that be, we were just fighting Venice. I have now just pieced out Venice and taken two provinces, I think. So what are we going to do today? Well, today we're going to try and destroy France. Sounds a little crazy, doesn't it? But we're currently manufacturing a takedown hegemon, casus belli. The way this casus belli works is, as you can see, it's very cheap to conquer land with this casus belli. Unfortunately, you can only get this casus belli against hegemons when you're not a hegemon. Which is why I haven't been so bothered about the fact that we're not a great power, because I've kind of wanted to stay below a great power, because the moment we do become a great power, we should instantly become the military hegemon. So we're going to try and jump France and defeat them. I'm not sure if we can. If we compare ourselves to France right now, it says we're pretty over the line. The problem is our levies are weaker than theirs. Their levies are a lot stronger than ours, even though we have similar numbers. But we beat them when it comes to regulars. We have a lot more regulars than they do. They only have 15,000, we have 84,000. Navally, we also win. Population-wise, they do outnumber us. There's 4 million more of them than are of us, but we make a lot more money than they do. We also have a much bigger navy, obviously. So I'm pretty confident we can win. We're going to try and conquer basically all of southern France in this single war. The main thing that's really holding us back is manpower. The cost of maintaining our armies, not just reinforcing them, is massive, and we currently can't sustain it with our current paltry amount of manpower. We're going to try and correct this. There's a few things we want to try and research. We want to grab the flintlock levies just to give our levies a slight boost and make them a little stronger. The French might already have this law or advance, which is why their levies are considered stronger than ours. So if we can grab this, it will level the playing field a little. After that, we're going to try and rush down and grab the barracks, which is the upgraded form of the armory, which gives an extra 5 manpower from it, which isn't a lot, but every little helps in this sort of situation. Outside of that, we're basically going to spend all of our money on training fields and armories. We're going to build as many of these things as we can, just to give us that little extra manpower, because manpower is probably going to be what decides the conflict. So we're basically just going to hang out, wait for this casus belli to be created, and then when it is created, we're probably just going to immediately jump France. They don't have any allies, it's just them, the same as it's just us, so surely we can win. If we're really lucky, France will get involved in some kind of war and will weaken themselves further. Another thing we're just going to do, because we've just been able to call a parliament, is we're going to ask for larger levies, just to give us that little extra size for when the war actually happens. Just to give us a slight edge. That's all we need, right? Just a little edge. There comes our hegemony, or our takedown hegemony, casus belli. I think we're going to wait a little bit. How long do we have before this casus belli expired? We have 5 years, so we could wait a little bit. We're going to wait just a tick, or just a few ticks, so that we can get these newer levies, and then we're probably going to go. One thing we are going to do is, because we've been building a spy network in France, is we're going to agitate liberty in some of their vassals. It won't be enough to make them rebellious, but it might push them to being rebellious over the course of the war if France takes heavy damage. And then we could piece them out, or they might even revolt, though that seems unlikely. We're having our armies drill a little, just to give us that extra boost when we actually go to war. There we go, we've got our flintlock levies online. We've managed to increase our manpower gain a little, but it's still below maintenance. But I think we are going to declare war now. It's, a little risky, but I want to just fight and fight. That's how, I've got that bloodlust. We're going to wait a tick just to see if anything changes at the end of the month. All right, the month has happened. So we're going to declare war, I think. It's just us as established. Oh, we're actually friendly with the French little, so we need to insult them so we can bring our relationship down so it doesn't cost us 10 prestige to declare war. We'll insult them. Didn't bother to look what the insult was, and it doesn't really matter. Alright, it's time. We're going to declare war on France, with our chosen casus belli, of course. When it comes to numbers, we actually outnumber them quite heavily now, due to those extra levies we're getting. We're going to have 48,000 levies total. They, of course, have 21,000 levies, plus their 15 regulars. They also have a bunch of vassals as well, though. They have 19 vassals in total, which might even the playing field a little. One other thing we're going to do is we're actually going to bring all of our navies together and try and fight the French navy. Anything that will give us a little edge. So let's just declare war. So let's see who exactly we're fighting against. There's us, of course. Then there's just French vassals. There's a few up here in northern Germany and the Benelux area. There's one over here, one over here, one over here. They do also have some colonies, but I guess we'll see whether those colonies actually have a big impact. I don't think they will. Let's call up our levies. We'll also call up the naval levies just in case. They won't give much of an edge to anybody, but it's nice to have them. One of the things we'd like to do is we'd like the French to actually transport some of their army over to us, and we'd like to murder them with our navies. That way we don't have to fight them on land, obviously. Anything that would to divide the French army up and potentially destroy it would be nice. Just in case the French do land, we're going to leave some of our levies to actually garrison the island territories, mainly to make sure that the French don't take anything. For the rest, we're going to bring them all north, and then we'll probably split them up between them and garrison them with our armies. Really what we want to do, we want the French to cross our border and attack us, and then we want to destroy them. That's definitely preferable to us having to march into their territory and fight them, but I'm not sure how much we're going to be able to control the French movements. The French have started to move in. We're of course going to try and take advantage of that. Looks like they're going to attack us. That might be exactly what we want. They immediately lost and were stack wiping them, so they threw themselves into our large army. We captured quite a few of them. If any French we capture, we're actually going to hide in our country so that to decrease the chance of them being rescued. Looks like they're going to come again. We're just instantly destroying them. Let's compare them. We have more morale. We also have more military tactics, and we have more discipline. Really, our armies are just better. They, of course, have a lot of cavalry, which is one of the things that make the French really powerful. But the people can surely overcome a few horses, surely. I mean, obviously, we're not going to lose this battle just because there's 20,000 of us versus 30,000 French. It'd be a little awkward if we did lose. But the French are going to bring in reinforcements, but they're likely going to arrive with so little morale because they're rushing to the battle like these guys here that they won't have a big impact. And we're dealing pretty good casualties. We've only lost 1,000 men to their 8,000 men so far. Are these reinforcements going to arrive in time? Ooh, it doesn't like it. It's going to be close. Yeah, they did arrive in time. It's not going to make much of a difference though, because they're immediately going to just get thrown away. There we go. We lost 1,000 men and killed 10,000 of theirs. That's a good enough numbers if you ask me. Now we're going to try and start occupying some land. We're going to send the People's Legions to siege down forts. Then behind that, we're going to have the levies act in support and potentially reinforce those siegers if they need the support, like over here. Looks like we managed to win before our reinforcements arrived. We could assault these forts, but I really don't want to because, as we've established, we don't have the manpower to sustain our people. So just rushing down the forts with our regular armies would be a big waste. We could assault with the levies, but again, I don't want to risk losing so many people that the French gain a numbers advantage on us. And we can afford to wait. We've got all the time in the world. We can just slowly siege down these locations until they become ours. Looks like the French are kind of going around our siegers to siege our land. This is actually completely perfect. Now we can take advantage of that and attack them from behind, which we're going to try to do now. The question is, where should we attack? There's 3 stacks. 2 of them are French. 1 is a French vassal. We have our own levies. Well, we have our own guys sieging, so we don't want to end the siege there. We're going to attack, I think, just the central one. We have so many men, it shouldn't matter. We're actually going to split up our levy army into 2. We're going to send one of the 10,000s over to attack this small other stack. These guys, they are regulars, but we have so many levies that they shouldn't really be able to stop us. And that's exactly what happened. Looks like the French are trying to reinforce the guys they've actually sent, well, the guys that are actually being attacked. We'll see if it makes a difference for them. I don't think it will. Ooh, they've sent quite a few people. It might make a difference. Looks like they've brought quite a few people. Although, even though they outnumber us, well, they don't outnumber us, we outnumber them, but they've got higher morale and a lot higher quality units, it looks like. But I don't think it's going to matter. Even if they did push us back, even if we lost because of our low morale, we would still have done massive casualties to them. We're actually going to pull one of the sieging armies off to come and reinforce this battle, just to maybe help us win and not get pushed back. Yes, reinforcing that gave us a massive boost to morale because of having new units join who are at full morale. And there we go, we beat them back. Pretty nice. We've already killed 70,000 French to our 10,000, so things are going well. We're going to try and nab these French siegers that are sieging down some of our locations down here. There's also French coming down up from the north though, so we need to be careful of that. We might lose this battle again because of our low morale. Yeah, I think we're going to get pushed back here. We still dealt more casualties than we took, so it doesn't really matter that much. French have again moved their army up here. I think we're going to again try and take advantage of it. This is a really bloody battle. We're losing thousands of men, but they're losing tens of thousands. And then we win. We lost 7,000 to their 18,000. Hypothetically, if we kill enough of the French, their vassals will become disloyal and could potentially quit the war. Speaking of vassals, there's some French ones sieging up us from the north. We don't really want to lose any of our forts, so we're going to quickly maneuver up just send them away. Fortunately, some of these ones are enemy armies are snowed in because it's the season, so we're gonna have to leave them be. Before we continue, let's have a look about what we would want from a peace deal. I'm thinking something very greedy, something like this. It might be a little too greedy. It would definitely give us antagonism, lots of it, with everybody. But honestly, if we could achieve this, I'm not sure it even matters, because if we're strong enough to fight France and just massively annex their massive parts of their country, is there anyone in Europe left to defy us? I mean, France is the strongest nation in Europe outside of Bohemia, Castile, and of course us. The Mamluks aren't that strong. The main advantage they have is their terrain, really, and the distance of getting to them. So I think if we can take a massive amount of land in a peace deal, we probably will. There's nothing wrong with being greedy after all. Here we've got a big battle. There's 10,000 French versus our 40,000 or so. We're trying to reinforce, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to win this one. All of our troops for some reason are on one flank, although we've broken one of their flanks and we have another army just... looks like we retreated. That's too bad. I was going to say we have another army to reinforce. That was probably the biggest battle we've had so far with the most troops on the French side. We'll wait for our morale to replenish and we'll head back out again. Really, we want these very big battles to happen so that we can just deal massive damage to the French, because we have more numbers, so we can afford to lose a lot of people while they can't. And if they become weaker, there's a good chance their vassals might quit the field, which again means they can't really afford to take those big casualties that makes them weaker in the eyes of their vassals. We do have to be very careful with our regulars, since we don't really have enough manpower to keep them sustained. If they take massive casualties, we need to be careful not to lose them. Replacing them mid-war would be quite hard after all. We also need to keep in mind that the war goal for this war is actually to occupy Paris itself. So every moment that we're not occupying Paris, where our war score is ticking down, which is not a good thing, obviously. We actually lost one of the People's Legion just then. They got stacked quite because their pop of their army dropped too low. Clearly me not being careful enough, even though I said I need to be careful. When it comes to manpower, we've really whittled the French down now. There's only 70,000 of them. Are any French vassals willing to make peace? We have one who's become rebellious enough, but they're still not willing to make peace because the war hasn't lasted long enough and they're too enthusiastic. But if one started to become rebellious, there's potential for more to become rebellious, right? The barracks has been researched. This might be able to help us out a bit. If we can just start upgrading our armories to the now new barracks, we'll be able to get more manpower. Right, the French army is now only 40,000 strong. Are they even in France? France has 20,000 men, but at this point they can't stop us. We're basically just walking into France. We do need to get to their capital so we can start getting that ticking war score, and that's basically where we're heading, occupying the towns and castles along the way. At this point I'm pretty confident dividing our army up. Our regulars and levies should be able to defend themselves pretty well. Unfortunately, to fight the spread, despite the French's weakness, none of their vassals are willing to separate peace or become disloyal, even ones we're agitating liberty desire in, but oh well. Getting them to leave via agitating liberty was kind of, you know, it was a maybe, not a we're going to be able to do that. We're close to Paris now. We're just sieging Orleans and then we'll be at the gates of Paris. France has started to try and force us to make peace due to the call for peace, but we're going to say no, which costs us 10 stability. If we can reach Paris, they won't be able to force a peace anymore. There, we've taken Orleans. We're going to move to Paris straight away. Looks like they had a few soldiers sitting here on Paris, so they've been taken out. The moment we take Paris, our war score is going to skyrocket. Whether we'll be in a position to maybe peace out will be a little up in the air. Behind this, I'm continuing to build manpower buildings and upgrade our existing manpower buildings. We're currently making around nearly 2,000 manpower a month. Not perfect, but pretty good, honestly, if you ask me. We did it. We just took Paris. Took 138 days. We've got all of these cool things. The dull world will now reside in Rome. We're actually going to spread out now and just start sieging the French interior. Once the province comes under our control, that being the province of Paris. Yeah, they're no longer getting the ticking war score. They've lost the 25 they had for having control of the capital. They're actually pretty close to agreeing our terms of basically all of France, southern France. We're only 3 off getting them to accept. Behind this, though, the patricians aren't happy and are considering rebellion. All we need is just a little hope. Well, I know we're doing pretty good. I don't think we need that much hope. There, well, 0.1 off. If we split up our levy armies and just start sieging these places that don't have any forts, it should be enough. Pick that one, have that one down there. Uh-oh, they've cornered one of the People's Legion. I think we're going to abandon the sieges to try and reinforce them. Yeah, I think we're going to win now with the reinforcements. For some reason, all of the French are on one side in one giant flank. Well, we're all on spread out. Yep, there they go. That battle actually gave us enough war score for us to make peace. We're gonna do it. I don't care what they say. They've dared to defy the people. Imagine a muscular peasant with incredibly muscular arms from all his days working in the mine, and incredibly large engorged head from all of the high literacy rate. Imagine him taking a giant fleur-de-lis in his arms and just tearing it in twain. That is what we have just done. The Grand Republic of Rome has now entered the former Roman territory of Gaul. Let all tremble. Let's immediately disband our levies. We're probably going to have some major rebellions in now. That seems pretty inevitable. Let's bring our legions home. We need them to resupply as fast as they can. We do have a few remnants of our first legion which died. We're going to merge them together and try and refound the legion. We should honestly tick up and become a great power pretty soon now. I wouldn't be surprised if France loses their status as a great power, because they've lost a lot of population they had. We'll see what happens though. We'll also see about what the coalition does. Yeah, we're seeing the big coalition form. Castile even joined it, Aragon joined it. But that was to be expected. Even if we get declared on war now, I'm pretty confident we could win. We'll just pull back behind our forts and bleed the coalition dry. We're going to immediately start tolerating some of the largest French population that we've now just absorbed. It's going to put us a little bit over our capacity, but it's probably for the best to help keep them in line. We're going to start increasing relationships with lots of people just to try and deter the coalition, though it's unlikely we're going to be able to, because most people have now got aggressive expansion of or antagonism of at least 200 or so, but it is what it is. Let's go about refounding the First People's Legion. We're going to hold off restoring it to its full strength because we need to reinforce our existing legion. Oh, there we go. I was wondering whether the coalition would try it, and they've tried it. Honestly, we're stronger than the coalition. We're a lot stronger. The only reason I'm not going to consider expanding in this war is because of how unhappy some of the rebels are. We've got a potential major Catholic revolt coming, as well as a major patrician revolt. We'll have to see whether we can get these revolts handled during this war. If we can, then we might consider expanding. Who exactly is in this war? So we've got Castile, we got Aragon, and then just some minor northern Italian and southern German states. The Papal State is also involved, though. At this point, the Papal States, you know, they barely exist. Now those cool French forts that were holding us back will now be used for our own purposes. The leader of the rebellion is this little duchy here, which is a one province minor. And on that note, I was thinking we need to stop calling them one province minors, because now they're one location minors. A province is a lot bigger than it used to be. So one province minor is like actually quite big. Like just France itself, like the Paris, this is a one province minor, whereas just Paris is a one location minor. Either way, if we just occupy the leader of the rebellion, it'll go a long way to pacifying them. So we'll make that our #1 priority while trying to hold off the rest of the coalition. Luckily, the leader of the coalition was someone really close to our borders, so it shouldn't be too difficult to full occupy him. We won't need to fight through lots of coalition land to get to him, example. We could also occupy Genoa, get them out of here maybe. There goes the coalition leader occupied. Now it's just a matter of pacifying or doing enough damage that they consider piecing out. Ah, the Aragonese navy. They dare approach us. People's Navy sends them off. On that note, let's rename our navy to the People's Navy. Seems appropriate. There goes the coalition. Pretty easy war, honestly. The question becomes, will we be able to pacify these potential rebels before they rebel? It'd be nice if we could. We'd like to avoid rebellions if possible, but there's a good chance we won't be able to. So we've managed to pacify the noble rebellion. They're not going to rebel anymore. But we still have this Catholic rebellion that we have to worry about. As we can see, all of the land we've just taken from the French is all rather rebellious. Unfortunately, it's unlikely we're going to be able to stop them, but we'll just deal with it when the time comes. You would think these Catholics would accept their status for the good of the people, but no, they continue to defy the people's mandate. Another thing of note is we're actually assimilating pops quite quickly now. One thing of note is we're halfway towards one of our goals that I set myself of turning Rome into a 1 million pop city. We're currently at 500k. Not that far off from getting up to 1 million. Glorious Rome will be restored. We're still not a great power, which isn't really surprising, because the main way a lot of these guys are great powers, like if we look at France, for example, it's not from their actual strength, it's from the 100 points from having subjects. Really helps them get extra power, even though they themselves don't have that much power. Whereas we, of course, don't have any subjects, so all of our power is stemming from ourselves, from our own might. Unfortunately, France is of course no longer a hegemony, so we won't be able to use our hegemony casus belli trick on them a second time. But oh well, it is what it is. Would have been nice to slap them again with it and take maybe all of France, but it felt a little bit like cheating anyway. So one time is good enough. Any more would be a little too much, I think. There's been a few people asking about whether we'll become a monarchy, and I think I'll address it now. The answer is probably not, simply because there's no way for us to organically become a monarchy. There's no event for a republic to switch to a dictatorship and then to a monarchy like in EU4, for example. Even if we dropped our republican tradition to 0, there's no event that would just transfer us into a monarchy. The only way we could really become a monarchy, if we wanted to, would be to get our autocratic score all the way up to 95, which honestly I don't see happening because of the value right now. It's currently at 39, but that's mainly through events. It can only actually reach 22.6 normally. And honestly, a lot of these things pushing it this way are certain reforms or privileges we've handed out to the nobility, which we will eventually be taking back, as I'm sure you can imagine. So the answer is probably not, unless we get any sort of event that pushes us in that direction, mainly because I'd have to do it myself, which wouldn't feel organic. And, everyone's restored Rome as an empire, no one's restored it as the People's Republic. So I think we'll stick with what we've got. Oh, I knew I was forgetting something. I need to divvy out my navy from after the war with the French. As I said, I knew I was forgetting something. Let's just split all these guys up into 20 or so's like they were before. We've unlocked the Administrative Principles Law. This law is really about deciding the outlook of our republic. If we wish to be an example to all our citizens, the republic must uphold principles which dictate the course of action we will take in our policies. So we've got a few choices here. We've got military principle, moral principle, political principle, and protection principle. Personally, for me, I would say it's between political principle and military principle. Military principle gives -10 separatism for every location we have. That means when we have land that we've conquered, it has the conquered status, which gives +50 separatism, which means -50 to the unhappiness. Also, when we integrate a province but haven't called it, like this location here, it still has -10 separatism. So the military principle would essentially make every province we've called but haven't fully integrated the same rebelliousness-wise as a normal called province, and it would decrease the rebelliousness of uncalled provinces by 10, which is definitely nice. On the flip side, moral principle gives us -5 proximity cost to all locations, which is, as I'm sure you're aware, very nice. Anything that decreases proximity cost will always be amazing. But I think money isn't something we're desperately in need of at the moment. We are running a positive. We haven't fully got all our bars at max, obviously, and we could afford to cut back a little when it comes to forts. The main cost we're currently experiencing is from buildings. Our armories are costing us a lot of money, obviously, because we just have a lot of them in order to maintain our current manpower. But there's something that's kind of going to be fixed as we go along through the ages, because we'll be able to produce more of the resources they need, and because we'll get better buildings that require less of them to produce the same amount of manpower. So I think we're going to go with moral separatism. It does push us towards belligerent, which honestly I don't think is as good as conciliatory. It does give us some extra war score cost, so maybe the idea is we'll just go massively aggressive and just try and conquer everything as fast as possible, which kind of does sound appealing. Now we have the rights of the clergy law that's been researched. With this war, I was thinking about it. Secularizing the state makes the most sense, right? But I actually think it's inferior to curtailing the clergy, which probably sounds a little strange, because secularizing the state massively decreases the happiness of the clergy by 25% and blocks clerics from serving in the cabinet, while increasing their max tax to 100% and decreasing their power by 50%. In a way, we really want our clerics to be happy, because after all, high happiness equals high research progress, and low happiness, as you can see here, equals low research progress. So really, we don't really want to be in a situation where they're by default unhappy. Whereas if we curtail them, we only lose 5 happiness. We get a little push towards humanism and a little decrease of their power by 10%. So I think we're just going to curtail them. Secularizing would make most sense for our country, but mechanically it just feels worse than curtailing them. The clerics have a place in our great nation, as researchers and nothing else. Now there's the Catholic Civil War we've been expecting. Not a big deal, as I said, we were expecting it, and they shouldn't pose much of a threat to us. We actually left our standing armies in France, so in preparation for this rebellion. I didn't demolish any of the forts though, which may have been a mistake, but I think it's going to be fine. Do we even need to raise levies? I guess we should. If only so we can match their levies that they've got around. Our assimilation power is actually really strong now. If we look at this location, we're using the assimilate pops into our culture cabinet action, which gives 81 assimilation. We're then losing 10 due to integration. Then if we times it by all of our modifiers, even taking out the minus 62 from control, we're now converting 183 pops here a month to our culture, which is quite a lot. And then that's only in one location. The rest of the province is also having that same level of conversion in. Our Median culture will be spread around and everyone will accept it because it is the logical conclusion or continuation of Roman culture. This of course is non-negotiable. It looks like the religious league has triggered. Although there's not much of a Holy Roman Empire left. It looks like it's mainly Bohemia as the one Lutherite and everybody else as the Catholics. Honestly, surely Bohemia should win. I mean, they've got 223,000 levies or soldiers, of which, woo, they've actually got quite a big standing army. More than us, actually, overall. Yes, that's a sign we need to expand our standing army. So the question becomes, where should we go from here? Should we continue expanding into France? We can't make use of the really good casus belli, so if we do declare war, it will likely be with the cleanse heresy casus belli, or it'll be a no CB, which somehow is better than the cleanse heresy CB when it comes to actually taking land. It only costing 50 to take land with this CB as opposed to costing plus 75 with cleanse heresy. For some reason, having no casus belli is better than, say, having a casus belli based on religion. But oh well. Or should we actually pivot south and start going for Castile and Aragon? They're pretty weak. And if we defeat them, we could probably take their colonies they have in the New World. Although at the moment, both Aragon and Castile are in the coalition against us. Honestly, that's not such a big deal, is it? The coalition isn't that strong. And if we attack Castile, whose only ally is Burgundy, who is a member of the coalition, maybe we should just start eating everyone that exists. Just start eating everyone. We also need to go over and liberate Constantinople. It's still under the control of the Bulgars. At least most of the population there is still Greek. But that's something we need to do actually to form Rome. We need to control Constantinople to form Rome. We're still quite a ways away. We still need 2,000 locations to form Rome. But honestly, I think now it's just a matter of time. We just need to start aggressively attacking and conquering everyone that we can, I think. So I think we'll leave it here for today. I've had 2 blackouts today, so I don't want to push my luck too far. So I'll put the question to you. Should the People's Republic continue its expansion into Western Europe against France, Aragon, Castile, and potentially Portugal? Or should we pivot east and go for Serbia, Bulgaria, and maybe Hungary too? We'll leave out Mamluks for the moment, they'll come later. But as I said, I'll put the choice to you, east or west. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.